Dear Shanghai fans, Shanghai trash, real Shanghai goods, and fake Laowais. This week's episode is sponsored by holidays. Shanghai City is not often associated to the ideal picture of a holiday destination, but more of a few days' worth of a stopover to more picturesque spots in China. As summer temperatures loom menacingly over the ironclad landscape of Shanghai's skyscrapers, the luckiest of us flee the city to milder climates. However, were I to spend this coming summer in Shanghai, this is what I would do. I'd go and visit every subway station at the end of each metro line. I would enroll in a Chinese language class and never actually go. I'd have summer flings with female scammers on Nanjing Road and People's Square. I would swim across the Huangpu River in my creepiest nightmares. I would count how many mosquitoes I can kill by letting them all in my bedroom, then suddenly turning the AC off to the Siberian blizzard setting. I'd call my friends and family abroad and swear that I'm fine and dandy in Shanghai, not shuffling around my apartment in my underwear like a sweaty, desiccated zombie. I'd go to Century Park and pretend I'm the only one. And I'd go to Dino Beach and review my promise of not killing anyone. Welcome to the 20th podcast episode of Shanghai Comedy Corner, the only podcast that offers funny water to quench your ha-ha thirst. I'm talking to you from the universally famous 72 Collective Recording Studio out here in southern Shanghai District, splashing mineral humor water into your face and bringing you fun and people of note via Shanghai Comedy Corner. This week, American stand-up comedian, writer, illustrator, voice talent Joe Schaefer and I will bring you quirky news and Shanghai stage news. It's random, it's fun, and it's as unexpected as a taxi driver saying your Chinese is bad. You can follow us and comment on the show on Twitter at SH Comedy Corner. Go to our website, shanghaiccomedycorner.com. Send us an email, shanghaiccomedycorner@gmail.com. Or find us on our official WeChat account at SHCC Podcast in one word, SHCC Podcast. Hello, Joe.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm terrific. A bit sweaty.
A
bit of a sweaty, desiccated zombie, if you will.
All right. Well, I hope you're not going to eat me or do something terrible in that studio.
Not unless you're a delicious watermelon.
Before I talk to Joe a little bit more, let's review the weird news of this week's in Shanghai and the rest of China. Apparently, text messaging is obsolete. What with network smartphone apps, WeChat and Weibo. By the way, who uses Weibo today? I don't know. Text messaging, sending a short message directly from a phone to another, has apparently become ancient, outmoded, and downright not cool anymore.
I noticed.
Yeah, unless you have an old Nokia, which may or may not mean you're a hipster or my grandfather. Do you text? Do you use text anymore?
Absolutely not.
No.
In fact, it was the moment I realized that it had become obsolete was when somebody texted me, and I was just like, really? Texting? Come on, man.
Yeah. WeChat is the way. Audio messages.
Right.
And completely unnecessary GIFs and smileys.
Oh, yeah. Those just brighten my day.
I'm trying to use the whole range of smileys. It's really difficult.
Oh, I've delved deep into that whole emoticon treasure trove. I try to, my favorites... actually, my number one favorite is the little guy picking his nose. It really conveys a sort of special, I don't even know how to describe when you use it. It transcends language.
What feelings does it correspond to?
If you're kind of being like a little kind of sly, kind of silly, I don't know. It's wonderful. I just like the look.
I think my life has gone down on my standards when I realized that I don't even understand half the emotions that those emoticons and smiles are supposed to represent.
Right.
Like, there's way too many emotions I'm not even feeling.
And what does it say about you when you gravitate towards more of the negative emotional suite, the sobs and the awkward looks and the sweats?
But I've noticed there's more negative smileys than positive smileys.
Sure.
There's only like a few smiles and woohoo kind of feelings.
Right.
And the rest is just like people killing each other,
right.
cleavers, and a hammer on someone's head, or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
It's so that you can sort of threaten your girlfriend, but with an acute way, you know.
it is.
So she's like, oh, he may or may not enact bloody revenge on me, but it's adorable.
How to break up adorably.
Yeah.
Well, if you are violent, if you have violent tendencies, you may want to call this Taiwanese girl. She's getting restless, and they're all getting restless in Taiwan apparently, and cannot stand the view of our little friendly summer bugs, namely the cockroaches. And a young cleaning girl blew up an entire toilet by putting a dead cockroach on fire. Only after having cleaned the whole bathroom thoroughly with 1 million different chemical products.
Right.
So if you don't know what to do this summer, this is also another thing you can do. Blow up your own cockroaches at home.
She clearly thought that one through.
Yeah, exactly. And she was so horrified that she had to do this, obviously. But the part of the story that I don't get is she killed it.
Mm-hmm.
But she decided that maybe the cockroach deserved like a Buddhist burial or something.
Well, I'm gonna have to back her up on this one because cockroaches are freakishly hard. They're like the Terminator of the bug world. Like I have gone to town on a cockroach, just impaled him, crushed him, and then stepped away for a second, looked back, and he's escaped. And those things, you really do need to put them in the trash compactor and then spray them with liquid nitrogen, shatter them, and then throw them in the, what do they do in Terminator? The vat of molten steel.
Oh, yeah.
That's really the only sure way.
I like the way they you spray the cockroach thing, before you go to bed in the kitchen, and in the morning, they don't die on the side. They die in the middle of the room.
Oh, sure.
With their legs up, whatever. Yeah. And then it's like very dramatic.
Very dramatic. Very yes.
It's like, you want to kill me.
All right. Cockroaches, they're not only disgusting in a literal sense, they also just have disgusting personalities. Very self-centered.
Very self-centered. Very sneaky. They sneak up on you. Anyway.
Just terrible creatures.
Oh, my God. Anyway, if, like Joe today, you suffer from the heat, you can do the same as those people on Shepai's campus, South China Normal University, Shepai campus. They decided they were too hot. They couldn't sleep in the 6 people dorm rooms.
Yeah.
Because there's no AC in those rooms. It's just 2 pre-1949 fans.
Right.
So they decided to go streak.
Okay. As you do.
Yeah, as you do. So they organize a streak event, which was very mild, actually, the way they worded it on WeChat. They said, topless guys, and they said with the girls was very mild. They didn't say underwear or anything, but they were stopped by the...
So wait, they weren't actually naked at all?
No, they were not really They streaked a little bit, but not completely. They were stopped by the authorities.
Who they unfortunately included in the WeChat group?
Yeah, I don't figure... Yeah, I can't figure this one out. Somebody must have ratted them out, I guess. But they got the ACs in the end.
Oh, I was going to ask if they were punished by being forced to return to their rooms.
That could have been a punishment. But actually, no, it has a happy ending. The university is now looking into installing some AC units.
Wow. Well, there you go.
I hope they don't break down like they do always with mine in the summer.
Screw peaceful protests. It's got to get naked.
Yeah.
That's how things get done.
Yeah, we should do this way now. What is it we want? And let's go naked for it.
I'm okay with that. I don't know if people are going to want to see me naked, but maybe that'll get the desired effects quicker.
Yeah, maybe they don't want to see you naked, so that's how you get things.
Just threaten it.
Just threaten. I'm going to streak if you... Okay.
What's that werewolf doing running around? No, that's a Lao Wai with a hairy back.
Yeah. Did you get those questions sometimes? Why are you so hairy?
Yeah.
Why are you so hairy? Joe, why are you so hairy?
I mean... As one of our comedians has a great joke about that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Chris Baker. He's my favorite comedian because he's from Liverpool and he's got a Liverpool accent. And 4 Chinese people were marveling at my hairy belly. And they ask him why, and well, you'll have to. I don't want to ruin his joke, but it's funny.
Where is he now? Is he in Shanghai?
Yeah. Is he here? He may be gone for the summer. He's a teacher as well. So.
Okay.
But no, what I've gotten, I remember now. I did get one of my coworkers, a very tactful young lady. When I began to grow my beard, she came up to me in the elevator and was like, she said, "Why this?" And just sort of motioned at her own face. And I was like, I don't know. I guess because I thought it looked cool. But it was I'd never quite had anybody just, why this part?
Why?
This whole, I didn't know if she meant the whole face or just the beard. I was hoping just a beard.
Yeah, she could have come up to you and said, "Bad hair day."
Yeah. On your face.
On your face.
Oh, yeah.
If you're thirsty this summer, you can also do like a Bao Yafu. I'm sorry for the bad pronunciation of his name. He's a 79-year-old dude somewhere in China, and he decided 20 years ago somehow to drink his own urine 3 times a day and wash his face, lips, and eyes with it.
Oh, wow.
And he claims to be in perfect physical shape. Well, there's a picture of him. He looks okay for a 79-year-old dude.
Sure.
And as the article in the worldofchinese.com says, the book of Proverbs, even the Bible says you should do it. It says, I looked it up, it's 5:15. It says, "Drink water out of thy own cistern and the streams of thy own well."
Wow.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he is, it sounds like he is in absolute perfect physical shape and completely and totally insane.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that would
But
be my
he claims that he's
diagnosis.
only one of thousands of people with the same practice. He says he's registered into this association that's recognized in Hong Kong and all. I'm like, really? Do people actually voluntarily, willingly, knowingly drink their own urine?
I guess so. I've heard of it involved in some sort of new age diets.
Yeah. Well, it's 95% water, as they say.
Yep.
Not for me.
You know what's
but-
100% water is the water I drink.
Yeah.
That's from the store. So,
Yeah. Why would you want? Do you want 95% water?
well, I mean, I'm just gonna have to. I'm really gonna have to defer to my body on this one. Where if it's ejecting it out, I'm gonna guess that's where it prefers its stay. I mean,
the guy's not like part of an earthquake and he can't reach out to anyone for 3 weeks. I would understand.
maybe that's how it started, and then he
Maybe.
just got a taste for it.
Oh yeah. Maybe it was the Tianjin earthquake.
They
Just-
dug him out from underneath of a giant slab of concrete, and they were like, "We rescued you. Here, take some water." And he's like, "Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good now. I figured it out.
I just took a whiz. I'm
But
great."
but does he always drink the same urine and then digest it, then drink it again, then digest it, then drink it again, or does he have to? Surely he has to drink some 100% water at some point. I'm confused.
I don't know. I mean, this is something you're gonna have to take to him. I'm
Mm.
sure his urine at this point has just been distilled into a beautifully
Crystal
sort
clear.
of crystal clear, just a wonderful. I'm sure him taking a pee is just something to behold.
Yeah.
It's a work of art.
Literally.
He can spell his name in the snow. It's just really,
Yeah.
he's an artiste.
He's an artiste. All right. Well, Joe, thank you for joining us today.
No problem. My pleasure.
And my first question to you is, where are you from?
I'm from a little village in rural Ohio called Yellow Springs.
Okay. What's so special about Yellow Springs?
2 things. One, a university called Antioch
Mhm.
University. Sort of an old, storied school. It was big in the 70s during like the Vietnam protests. It was a focal point for sort of a bunch of hippies to get around and protest the war. And it to this day is a real draw for hippie people. Like it's very progressive. It doesn't have grades and it doesn't have people that
kind of
shower regularly.
New school stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second thing?
Second thing is, that's where Dave Chappelle lives.
Ooh. You're from the city of where Dave Chappelle lives.
That's right.
Okay. Have you met him?
I I've come across him a couple times. He's not like my homie or anything, but when I was 17, I served him ice cream because I used to work at the ice cream parlor in town. Served him a lime cooler. He enjoyed it. And I was like, "You're Dave Chappelle." And he was like, "Yep, and you are weirding me out." But and then, yeah, I mean, you just see him around town, say hi to him. I mean, he's a pretty cordial dude.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I just remember like someone telling me about meeting Bill Murray,
Yeah,
and he was basically an asshole.
yeah, he seems incredibly curmudgeonly at this
Yeah.
this age.
He's like, "I'm not Bill Murray." That's what he said, and it's like the dude was like, "No, come on, be nice." And
you're like, "Aha, that's something Bill Murray would say." Gotcha.
Yeah, and he was like, "Nah."
He's like, "All right, you're right. Fuck off."
Fuck
Is that
off.
better?
Yeah, yeah, something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah, he's sometimes those funny, carefree dudes on camera are just really bitter on the inside.
So you were raised in Yellow Springs,
That's right.
okay, and then you went to study Japanese language.
That's right.
Why Japanese language? Why would a guy from Yellow Springs study Japanese?
I don't even know. It is an obsession that developed very early in life, and I just sort of was overtaken by an unquenchable thirst for all things Japan. Like I loved all kinds of samurai stuff, and luckily we had a one family. My good friend Anita was half Japanese, half American. So I would go and her mom would like make me sushi, and we would watch Akira Kurosawa tapes and sort of feed my hunger for Japan. But yeah, just everything I learned about it, I just became more and more like obsessed with it. So, and of course in Yellow Springs, in a school of 200 people, we did not have a Japanese program. Surprise. We had French and Spanish. So when I went to Ohio State, which is a giant school, I was like, finally, I'm able to take classes that I want, and so I did, and that was I was like, I'm majoring in it. Let's do it.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you ended up. I read you ended up in a sales department of a Japanese IT company.
That's right. When I first came to Shanghai, I came with my Japanese girlfriend at the time, and I had never really gotten a proper job before, since I came to China right after college, like days after I graduated. So I was kind of following her lead, and what she was doing was going to these like Japanese employment agencies. Like you sort of apply there, and then they would set you up with interviews. And so I did the same thing, and then they set me up with this company, and yeah, I was like, oh, let's do it.
So can you tell us a little bit more about this experience working for a Japanese company? Because we all have like stereotypes and cliches about working for a Japanese company, and and I'm surprised you're not there still and working all your life there and taking 3 days off a year or something.
Oh boy. Well, that's sort of is exactly why I quit. I had this very romantic vision, because as you say, we all know like you like the saradiman, this like guy in the suit, and he goes out with his colleagues every night and drinking, and there's like this camaraderie, and it's sort of cool, and you're bowing at people and like doing the name card thing. I mean, all this seemed really, really awesome to me. And when I had studied in Japan, sort of seeing glimpses of that, I was like, yeah, that looks fun. That's what I want to do. and I did that.
Yeah.
Those were all parts of being a Japanese salaryman, but also the insanely long work hours and just the sort of rigid formality of it all, and wearing suits, and I'm trying to do this in Celsius, like 40-degree weather, in Pudong and stuff. It was really not. I realized very quickly that was not my destiny in life, and that was the point where my love affair with Japanese culture sort of the honeymoon period ended, and then I was like, oh, it's not all wonderful, is it? So I'm much more suited towards creative stuff. Not a good salesman.
Not a good salesman.
No.
There's a movie, a French movie about that girl who grew up as a little girl in Japan, and she fell in love with all things Japanese as you did, and then went away, and then decided after graduation to come back, find a job somewhere, and she had kept in touch with her childhood girlfriend, and she found a job in a company as a typist or something. But she went from bad to worse in terms of cultural blunders and
Okay.
everything, and she ended up being basically the cleaning lady of the male's bathroom. It's just
Wow.
a very downward spiral kind of thing, but it's funny and sad at the same time because the whole movie is set inside that office where
Right.
she only does blunders, cultural, like the worst thing you can do in Japanese culture,
Like blowing up a toilet.
like blowing up a toilet
To try to kill a cockroach.
try to kill a cockroach, drinking your own urine when everybody's
Right.
watching.
Exactly.
Things
They
like
frown
that.
on that there, unless you're in a porno movie and then they all masturbate at you. But
So I was wondering if you had any of these experiences or anecdotes or things you'd like. Oh, maybe that's not the way they do things. And I mean, was it like really? Was there a lot of pressure? Did you feel a lot of pressure because it was a Japanese company, although it was in Shanghai, right? So, or was it just just a international company?
I mean, it was kind of international in the sense that it was here in China, and the majority of the employees were Chinese, and that was actually where I really felt a connection to the Chinese way of doing business, because it struck me as much closer aligned with the American style, which is much more of a relaxed, like when you meet a client, you initially want to try to strike common ground and be casual with them, like, hey, I'm Joe, hey, Julian, hey, man, let's like get down to business, whereas in America, we don't like that sort of rigid formality, right? I mean, I'm sure the French are the same way, right?
same
You're
way.
like, hey, we're
Let's
we're
have
cool.
dinner. Let's have wine.
Right.
Let's
But,
get drunk.
So that was unsettling, but I don't know. What was your question?
I don't know if it's anything any moment in that company where you felt like, oh God, I can't do this. It's
I think when I went to a business trip to the Tokyo office, and I had known a lot of the guys. They had come on short trips to Shanghai, and we kind of all knew each other. And then when I went there, I was really excited, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna go out tonight. It was Friday night, and I was like, we're gonna party in Tokyo, and it's gonna be great. And then they finally came out at 11. They got off work and they came out, and I was like, oh man, you guys took you this long to get out? And they're like, dude, this is early.
wow.
And I at that point I was like, nope, not for me. I'm out. I'm pulling the ripcord.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know the French and Americans are aligned on this.
Yeah.
Friday,
It's sacred.
I'm out by 5. Okay,
Yeah.
like don't even keep me till the actual
Legal
quitting
time.
time.
Yeah.
Because they would do. Yeah, they also would do stuff even in the Shanghai office. Like it'd be Friday, and my boss would come up like, okay, so we're having a meeting today at 7:30, and I'd be like, whoa, stop right there. Why are you scheduling meetings at 7:30 on Friday? Like, yeah, that I don't know. I did not. I need me some social time.
Yeah, not your philosophy.
No.
All right, so you changed that obviously, and now you're working. You have different talents. You're a writer, an illustrator, a voice talent, a stand-up artist. Let's start with what really is really interesting to me is the illustrator part. Can you tell us a little bit more what you do and how you do it? And
Well, I always liked drawing comics all through my life. It's just sort of a hobby. I never really pursued formal study outside of a couple of random classes, but when I did quit, I actually talked to my good friend Kate Drans, a Canadian girl. She was the one that I was sort of going through this crisis where I had realized that being a sales guy was not for me, and she just sat me down and she was like, why are you still doing it? Why don't you go out and do your creative thing? Just do freelance, make because I had been telling her I would love to make like T-shirts and draw a comic book, whatever. That sort of these dreams, ideas, and she was like, just go for it. And I realized a lot of my friends in Shanghai. I mean, Shanghai is a perfect city for just doing your own thing. So I initially set out to do I think I was big on trying to do T-shirts and a lot of it just through contacts I had made in Shanghai. I got hit up to do my first project there was a company called Greenovate. I don't know if it's still around, but they were doing they had these educational programs. So they would go to rural Chinese schools and teach them about keeping their environment clean, planting trees, not littering, stuff like that. So I did some posters for them and some storyboards for like some videos they did. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of started off doing smaller sort of illustration projects. A lot of like, people contact me to do like caricatures. I could do that. I got a gig doing little comic strips for that Shanghai at the time. I mean, it started small. Just I taught. At the time I was teaching myself Photoshop and Illustrator, which you need to have in your quiver for doing this sort of stuff.
So you got a tablet, something like a...
Yep, bought myself that was my first purchase, was one of those Wacom tablets.
Wacom, yeah. I've tried to do this myself too. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's well. I mean, once you start using it, I mean, it's an indispensable tool.
Yeah.
So
great. So is there a website or somewhere we can see your work or?
Yeah. I mean, I have like a DeviantArt portfolio.
Okay.
That was actually one thing I taught myself Illustrator and Photoshop, and I was on a roll. Right. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and teach myself Dreamweaver, which is like the Adobe Suites, like website CSS cascading something or other. And I was like, oh, let's teach myself that, and very quickly realized that was well past my realm of skill and just not something I really want to get into. So I was like, oh, here's DeviantArt. You can just upload some pictures and it makes the portfolio for you. Done. Yeah.
Cool. So go to DeviantArt, Joe Schaefer, right?
Yeah, you can probably find me on there.
All right. And you're also a writer, and you have been writing. You're still writing. Not sure you're still writing for your city weekend, or is it on an irregular basis? I don't know.
I have a sex and relationship advice column that I do for City Weekend.
All right, I want to know more about that now.
Okay. I every issue there's if you look in the community section, I believe in the middle, it's there. What their gimmick? I think it was when you remember Ask Matsumi.
Yes,
had been a really popular column in Smart Shanghai.
Yeah,
and so I think City Weekend kind of they're like, oh, we'll do something. And our twist is that it's a Western versus a Chinese views. We'll do both of them, and then you can kind of compare them. So it's myself and then a Chinese girl named Ginger Wang, I believe. And she writes this one question, and then we both answer it from our two different perspectives. And despite what everybody thinks, I've never met her.
Oh, wow.
So, because everybody is like, oh, you know her, and you guys collaborate. And I'm like, no, I've never. It's totally separate.
Separate, okay.
So
you don't even check against each other's answers?
Well, I read hers after it's already done, after it comes out. But
okay.
we don't like compare notes before the thing comes out. It's completely...
Completely separate. Okay. So any juicy questions you had to answer, or funny things you answered?
Well, I mean, the problem is like it's hard to compete against Smart Shanghai because they're an online publication, so they can get away with way more risque stuff.
I see.
City Weekend, unfortunately, because it's print, the censors are incredibly strict. But what's been the most amusing thing so far is they tend to crack down on sort of you can't say something as clinical as oral sex, but they will let you get by with some really silly euphemism like play the skin flute, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. And I find that to be way more disgusting than oral sex. But so you kind of have to skirt around some of the dirty words by being creative, basically. But yeah, we don't have it. It started out as a sex column and then became more sex and relationship because there's only so many things you can talk about without the censors getting riled up. They don't enjoy questions about
And is there any like questions not about sex, more about relationships, but it's still weird? Like that why would people ask this? Do they have a social life or of any sorts to be asking this?
What's the weirdest one? We had one recently that was like I've been having trouble getting a visa, and a guy came up and said he would give me a visa, but he just wants to be quote unquote special friends.
Oh.
And at first I was like, oh, this can't be real. And then I think I was talking to somebody else, and they actually told me about that exact scenario. I mean, I think getting a visa these days is that hard that people are they're ready to whore themselves out. So yeah, it's not easy. Scrounging for that visa.
Yeah, you want that visa bad.
Yeah. So I say go for it.
Well, where are the good old times of the Hong Kong runs and the Korean runs and on Jeju Island and
People still do that, I guess, but it's not a sure thing anymore. I don't know. I've never really had that trouble, luckily. But I mean, they're always changing up the rules and the requirements and the letters.
It's harder. It's harder and harder, basically. Yeah.
Right. There's no F visa now. There's something else.
It's like WQX. Yeah. It's
who knows what kind of visa you're on? I'm on something called a foreign expert visa, which is a huge misnomer. But
what is pretty? I think that's the one that people want.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got the same.
Oh
Yeah. We can talk later.
Okay.
And you, so you also a voice talent. What have you done so far in your voice talent career?
Well, the best project I ever did was I'm on a video game, or two. The one I remember is it's on I think it's on like QQ games or 10-cent games or whatever. There's a game called Chinese King of Fighters.
I want to see that game now.
And I am the voice of the character Blue, who is a dude who's dressed in blue, believe it or not. And I say things like thunder puncture and like flying eagle kick and and then they also the best part too is when they're like, okay, they're like, because it's a Chinese sound engineers, and they're like, you are punching someone, and I'm like, okay, and they're like, okay, you are kicking someone. I'm like, you're kind of trying to think what noise you make when you're.
Oh, I see. What terrifying.
Right. Well, I'm trying to think back to my my days as a cage fighter. What sort of noises I would make, beating people to bloody pulp, and then they're like, okay, now you are getting punched, and you're like, oh, ow. That one's pretty easy. And then he was like, okay, now you are dodging people.
Oh, wow, that's a tricky one.
What the hell does that sound? I was like, whoa, whoosh. I don't know what sound you make when you're evading an attack, I guess. Like
I know what I do. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, I'm out of here. I'll be at the bargain and drink. No, so that was fun. That was, of course, one or two projects. Most of the voice acting I did was textbooks.
Okay.
If you've ever, to all your Chinese listeners, if you ever studied a textbook from the Shanghai Foreign Language Education Press, if it could very well be my voice, because I've done hundreds and hundreds of textbooks.
Wow.
I did that for about 3.5 to 4 years.
Whoa.
Coming in like 3 times a week, just pounding out those textbooks.
Wow.
So I would like to think that I shaped an entire generation of English speaking Chinese people.
It's like that voice in I don't know, like those famous voices, like the one in the London subway. Like she became so famous, she had her own website and spoof subway announcements on the subway, where she would with that very delicate British voice go, would the gentleman over there please, get dressed again, because it's, and she would do it in like in typical subway announcement voice. And she was so famous.
Wait, there was somebody naked in the subway? I want to dress this. What's going on in the subway?
Well, she just spoof announcements. She would imagine a situation and then make that announcement. And it's quite funny.
Huh.
You can find them on the internet. I use it in classes, funny English class stuff.
Huh.
I guess you could do the same with, you would spook quite a lot of Chinese people then.
I've always wanted to do like, in a world where Chinese people speak English, like the movie trailer voice. That's my go. That's what I would like to perfect.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I can't get my voice that deep. We have guys I work with at ICS that are, it's always like older guys, and they just have these very typically older guys who have smoked a ton in their lives have the most amazingly low voices,
like Barry White kind of voice. Yeah.
Oh man, those are cool. And you're just like, man, like they can just do any. They can add an air of I don't know, like regalness or to any sort of documentary or
mundane stuff.
Yeah, it's like Julian walks through the hallways He needs to go to work, but he stops to get a glass of water. You're like, whoa, that's profound.
That's profound. I wanna be that guy and live his life.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it was a fun job. I enjoyed it.
So how long have you been in Shanghai now?
Shanghai, almost 9 years.
Whoa, yeah, we're a 9 years dude. Yeah, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. But actually,
is your skin still okay or your lungs clear?
Oh man, I don't know if we want to go down that road. Ignorance is bliss. That's my answer to that.
Yes, it's a good philosophy.
No, but I spent a year in Tianjin too, my first year.
Wow.
So that actually this upcoming what is it? It's not quite July yet, but I want to say July 15th or something. I can double check on this. Is going to be my 10-year China-versary. So I'm going to try to do something for that.
Yeah.
I'll go eat at like Di Shui Dong or something. Do something Chinese to really like seal the deal. Celebrate a full decade.
All right, you're also part of an improv comedy group that we've
That's
mentioned every week on the podcast because you do shows on Thursdays. PRC, People's Republic of Comedy.
That's right.
And so I'd like to know a little bit more how you got into it, if you had any previous experience, or just anything about this experience being part of PRC.
I had never done it, and this guy who used to be in ZMAC, actually, Matthew Schoenfield, he started it, and I had met him like a year ago. I met this guy one time at a dinner, and he called me a year later and said, "Hey, man."
A year later.
Yeah, I did not remember. He's like, "You remember me? I'm Matthew." And I was like, "Yeah, I remember you." He's like, "Yeah, I'm starting this improv group. You want to do it?" And I had just talked to my cousin. He had started doing it in New York. And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds fun." He had said it was a lot of fun. I said, "I'll give it a try." So that's how I got started. It was myself, this guy Matthew, and Christopher, who you know.
Yeah.
And it was just three of us. And I remember walking into Sound Blue. You ever go there?
Oh yeah. I remember Sound Blue near Tianzifang.
Near Tianzifang. I walk in there. They're just kind of standing there, and they're like, "All right, man, we'll show you what improv is." And I was okay. And I sat down, and they're like, "Okay, for example, we're in a circus." And then Christopher sort of juggled something, and Matthew was like on a trapeze and kind of pantomiming that. And then they're like, "Yeah, we're in a circus." And I was like, "What the hell is this?" This is incredibly not only unfunny, but looks super humiliating. But I came like a couple more times, and we sort of, they got a couple other people involved. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we started doing performances about a month and a half in, which was exciting. And I guess I had always wanted to get on stage and make people laugh. I've enjoyed being the center of attention for my entire life. I am an only child, of course, so all the attention is mine. So yeah, it was, and then Matthew left after I want to say a year and a half to 2 years, and so then myself, Christopher, and Audrey, who used to be
Audrey
in the group,
Murray, yes.
we sort of carried on the torch as the core group, and we just kept it going.
So how long has it been now?
We just did our 4-year anniversary.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic. So if you want to catch Joe and his very funny team of improvisers, you go to Kung Fu Komedy Club every Thursday at 9.
That's right.
And get yourself a drink and sit yourself down and laugh the evening away with the improv of PRC.
Yay!
And you can find all this information on the website, right?
ImprovShanghai.com.
ImprovShanghai.com. I'll also put all of the links on ShanghaiComedyCorner.com. And, which leads me to the announcements of this week. Lots of things are happening in Shanghai every week, especially as the summer is coming and there's lots of things happening. For example, apart from PRC this Thursday at Kung Fu Comedy Club, 9 p.m., there's also Toe Jam presenting Shanghai Shinding. It's a charity, they call it a charity sock hop kind of
I have no idea what a sock. That's something from the 50s or something.
Sock hop is a kind of dance. Yes, it's kind of a move. like rockabilly stuff.
The twist.
Yeah, the twist.
Do the mashed potato. Something like that.
It's the fourth one. It's the fourth year they're doing this. All the money, all the proceeds are going to charity. If you want to learn more about it, go to shanghaicomedycorner.com. You get all the links. It's at 9 p.m. on July the 4th. It's 50 kwai or 20 kwai if you're a student, and that's at bar 390.
All right.
390 is also where Zmac will present its last free show of the season on Thursday at 8:30. And at the same place, again at 390, there'll be a graduation show of the 101 class from Smack Comedy School at 6 p.m. And if you hang around a little bit, at 8 p.m., the Shanghai Tickler and Beijing Stand-Up Comedy are uniting again for an evening of mayhem, basically. So there's going to be a Shanghai-Beijing crossover comedy thing going on with Michael Correa, who was here on the podcast recently, hosting, and he will be welcoming to the stage Paul Creasy, Neil Farso, Colin Hanna, Leah Luo, Calvin Pollack, and Adam Skews. Like 3 or 4 of them have been on the podcast, actually.
Yeah, and I perform with most of those guys before.
Yeah, they're great,
All
great,
hilarious.
great. All hilarious. Go check them out. It's 100 RMB at the door. But if you also want to check out Joe this very Saturday, he's headlining. You're headlining.
I'm headlining.
I don't know why I'm talking to you in the third person. That's stupid. You're here.
Joe Schaefer is headlining. I hear he's hilarious.
He's hilarious. You want to check it out. Saturday, 8:30 at Kung Fu Komedy Club.
That's right.
That's like 50 RMB or something.
That's right.
With a drink or without a drink.
No drink.
No drink.
That's just
Buy your-
all you can drink laughter.
All you can drink laughter. Yes, there you go. So there's no excuse not to laugh this
Right.
week in Shanghai.
I'll be going probably half hour, just
Wow.
full tilt.
Yeah. That's gonna be great. I've seen Joe on stage. Go check him out. It's hilarious. And he's done. Yeah, okay. He's got a couple of jokes about French dudes, and I'm like,
I like to rib a
Yeah,
little.
yeah.
But I always end that by saying that I can do that because they are the most confident guys.
oh,
right?
that's so nice.
They
of
don't. You guys are.
Oh, we.
You can take a joke. You're like, yeah, well, guess what?
Yeah, that's
the end of
why.
the
That's
day,
who we are,
yeah.
basically.
No, the French are. You guys are cool, man. I love. I can't get over the whenever. Like I'll get a little creepy sometimes because I'll be like at a cafe or whatever and hear 2 people speaking French and I'll just like lean in, just be like, yeah, let it wash over. It's such a cool language. I will. That's like my next language I want to learn. By the way, is French.
But you said you didn't study French. That was one of the options, but you went for Japanese. Oh, yeah.
I studied Spanish studied. I put in air quotes for 3 years in high school. And like just. Did not learn. I mean, just putting in the time, right? Because I wanted to. I have no interest in Spanish.
Okay.
I mean, not that sounds horrible.
No.
I would love to speak
Intellectually,
Spanish,
yeah.
but there's not that. It was not something conjugating. Not something I want to do or I'm able to do.
Oh, well, then you don't really want to learn French.
You guys same way? Yeah. I was hoping you were gonna say no conjugating in French.
Yeah, I can say this. That's what most people think, but
And lie
most
right
French
to my
people,
face.
Yeah, fine. French is easy and beautiful, and learn it in a few weeks.
Sure.
Right.
It was never hard for me, Julian.
Yeah, I mean, come on, I speak it. It's easy. Yes, so go and check him out. He'll speak French for you in his act.
Yes.
And yeah, he'll say oui oui or something like that.
Yes.
Um,
Je m'appelle Joe.
Je m'appelle Joe. There you go. Are you mentioning anywhere in your routine that your scooter, bike, and phone were all stolen on the same day? Because I found out this
No.
pretty interesting story.
Yeah, I don't like to bring that up actually because it was a low point in my life. Yeah, it was tough.
Was it okay? Just let's try to get this right.
Uh-huh.
Were the scooter, bike, and phone stolen at 3 different moments during the day, or was it all packaged thing?
Well, technically the phone was not stolen.
Oh,
I left the phone. I mean, it kind of was. I mean, I basically. In fact, it gets even worse because my friend and I, we had sort of co-owned a PlayStation 3 where I had won it online doing this like comic strip contest. And but at that time, he's the only one that had like a nice TV. So it was like a joint custody of a child. And after a few years, it died as they do because they're, made with crappy hardware. So we were actually bringing it back from the store. We had tried to get it fixed and they told us like, it's like old ale, you got to put it down. And So I was already sad, and carrying this big PS3, I left my phone in the back of the cab. I think we've all had that happen once or
Yep.
twice. And, immediately I called it, and it was Guangji, which means somebody is not planning on giving it back. So in that case, it was kind of, they could have given it back. But then, whatever. I wasn't too bummed out. I was like, you lose a phone, maybe I'll get a new one. Time to upgrade.
Yeah.
So the next morning, and I went to bed, and the next morning I was going to go to China Mobile, get my number back. I went outside, and my scooter's gone. And I was like, you are kidding me. But I was like, all right, hey.
Time
maybe
to
this is
upgrade to a better scooter.
Well, more like this is the universe's way of telling me bike more, get some exercise. So I went across the street to the compound where I hid my bike in the garage to go get it, and it was stolen too. And then I sort of kicked the wall a couple times and was like, you
Shanghai.
but no, it was more after I sort of hooted and hollered for a while. I was like, you know what, China, I'm not gonna let you get under my skin. This is fine. I'm just gonna move on. It's not gonna, this is all you can throw at me. So
you're back and you're good.
Well, you know what? And then my buddy, like a couple months later, like probably 2 months later, he left. He moved to New York, and he was like, "Man, you can have my scooter for free." So you see, that's why you take some shots,
yes.
and the universe is like, "Just kidding. Here, have a free scooter. You're fine." So it all worked out in the end, but it was a tough day.
Oh, I sympathize. We all have those tough days.
It was a real pity party for me. I think I ordered Sherpas that day. I can tell you, sir.
All right. Well, Joe, it's been great having you on the podcast.
Yeah,
It's
thanks for having
fantastic
me.
to learn about you and all your talents. You're multi-talented, handsome, single guy.
Oh, thank you.
And
that's true, by the way.
Yeah, so call in if you want to date on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll just have one last question. You send me, whenever I prepare the podcast, I asked my guests to send me a mugshot of them
That's right.
by email so I can put it up on the website so people can actually see how the guests look like. And you sent me 2 pictures. And one
Did
is,
I?
Yeah, you send me just a regular mugshot, and then the other one is something called Tokyo. There's something about Tokyo, and we see you in some sort of Japanese setting, and you're disguised or you're made up or something, and I'd like to know if is that a way to come on to me and answer my sexual fantasies.
Yeah, I heard you're into kabuki.
Sayonara
Sayonara yes.
Kyoto.
Yes, that was that's a link to a video that I have up on YouTube.
Okay, what is it? What is this thing?
So that was
It's a link to the video. Sorry, I thought it was a picture. That's why I thought. Why is he sending me this picture?
wanted you to see what I look like in a suit.
Yeah.
No, it's I'm trying to get involved in some like comedy skits and videos. So that was one I worked with the filmmaker named Henry Lovner. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he has since gone back to the U.S. But we collaborated on a little project, and it's like a fun little video about Tamagotchis. Remember those?
Oh yes. There's a little. It's the ancestors of the app, basically.
There you go.
Yeah.
When you used to have to carry apps around on a keychain.
Yeah. And then you had to feed the little creature, and
That's right.
I remember it created like a whole wave. There's like a global wave of like everyone had one. Everyone
It
wanted
was big.
one.
It was hot for a moment. Yeah.
Huge.
So my character in this, I give an intern my pet to take care of, and she lets it die, and then I think I fire her. You can watch. So it's quick. It's only 3 minutes long. So.
All right. I'll put all these links up on ShanghaiComedyCorner.com. And you know what? If you answer this question, you'll get a ticket to Joe Schaefer's stand-up act on Saturday night. So the question is, which famous comedian did Joe Schaefer give ice cream to back in Yellow Springs? All right?
Were you listening?
Or are you listening? Or if you can answer this question, whoever sends me, the first one to answer this question correctly and send me an email to shanghaicomedycorner@gmail.com will get a ticket to Joe Schaefer's show on Saturday at Kung Fu Comedy Club.
Yeah, I'll buy you a drink too. How about
And
that?
he'll buy you a drink. And if you're a hot young girl,
Ho ho.
well, there you go. You'll be happy.
Yeah, I'll buy you drinks all night long.
All night long. All right, thank you, Joe, and I'll see you soon at Kung Fu Comedy Club.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
为什么不？为什么不？